Hey, hi, how are you? My name's Felt, and welcome back to some good old-fashioned Magic the Gathering. And you're probably going to have heard this intro before, but throughout the month of January, I'm putting out one video on each of the Phyrexian praetors that we have in a historic Brawl format, because it's a bit of a hype lead up to Phyrexia All Will Be One, because the new set looks really sick, and when the new set launches, I'll be making my fifth and final video on the praetors using the Panharmamikon, as people like to call her, Elish Norn. This time, we're doing a video on Jin-Gitaxias. Jin-Gitaxias is probably one of the most powerful singular monocolored commanders out there, but he has an expensive cast to match. He wins games very quickly by being able to duplicate artifacts, instants, or sorceries that you cast, as well as countering the first artifact or instant or sorcery that your opponent will cast. We're playing a half multi-turns, half artifact variant of the deck. What do I mean by that? I do play stuff like Constant Pearl Sundering and Alrund's Epiphany to get a bunch of multi-turns, as well as Key to the Archives to hunt up a Time Warp. But we also play a very heavy artifact synergy deck. Ornithopter, Moonsilver, Mindstone, Cold Steel, Arcane Signet, Celestis Ring, Relic of Legends, Mirror Box. That really helps with when you're duplicating these legendary artifacts, by the way. Key to the Archives, Mightstone, Weakstone, Gilded Lotus makes another showing because 3 blue mana. Great. Portal, Meteor Golem, Durus Familiar. Khan's Living Legacy has a great showing in this deck because of the Power Stone tokens helping you cast all these artifacts. As well as stuff like the Reality Chip being just a great way to cast off the top of your library and combo off. Forging the Anchor to help you find artifacts, and Emery to play some of them from the graveyard. This deck synergizes and combos off really hard, really fast, and if it doesn't, it loses really hard, really fast. But either way, hope you like the gameplay. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this, and let's get to it. Alright, game one, what have we got? Urza, Prince of Krug, artifact matchup. Neat. I think this is a keep, honestly. Even on the play, or draw, sorry, draw. We're on the draw. They're on the play. Even with Urza on the play, I think we're probably good here. We have a decent amount of ramp. We have a solid play with Salundi Vision to hunt some stuff down. And if we don't draw a land, we play the probably play the Salundi Vision as a land on turn 3 if we don't draw a third land. Well, we might just lose in hindsight. If they're playing stuff like Gingerbrute, they might be playing the version of this deck that is the bum rush you down with artifact creatures, not the artifact control version. I've seen a handful of times out there. Please just swing. I want my turn. You have 1 open blue mana, sir. We'll probably play this tapped on this next turn if my opponent doesn't, oh, not my opponent doesn't. I mean, if I don't draw a, land. Man, my opponent's really lucky. That's wild, man. Probably play it tapped and then play Trophy Mage. Making it so that they have to start paying for their stuff. Yeah, we have to. We have to start paying for making it being unable to be blocked. Artifact of mana value 3. Let's go hunting. We could grab Cloud Key or Foundry Inspector. They're not a legendary, are they? But I think the answer might just be the Celestis. To just hunt for card advantage. We kind of have to play a control game plan with Jenny G. Unfortunately, my opponent has gotten off to a rip-roaring start, and by that I mean they actually got a Midnight Clock and a creature earlier than I did. And I have missed a land, which is very punishing. On the plus side, I will be able to play, like, I'll be able to tap that and then have 2 open mana, making Slip Out the Back and Offer You Can't Refuse be available. Yeah, 5 open mana. Yeah, so they're just going to play Urza, which makes this a 3-3, which is just rough, man. Okay. I don't know why they tapped out for that. That was an interesting decision. Alright, well, this is incredibly rough, but I do have 2 counter spells available. Meaning that if they try and just play something really, really big, I just counter it. Hi, you're something really, really big. This might seem like a weird one, but I'm just trying to avoid taking too much damage. Land good. I think we just play Tyrant for the card advantage.
I can practically taste success already.
When we play Ornithopter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have our mana. Hopefully we draw another land or something. I'm going to assume that they're just going to try and... Interesting. I'm assuming they're just going to try and kill Tezzeret. We can't block Gingerbread, obviously, but we can block Urza. Thankfully, we do have a artifact to be able to discard here in Swiftfoot Boots, which you might think are probably better to play. Did they just discard 2 pieces of ramp? What did they draw? I'm terrified. Alright, they drew a Foreboding Statue. That's a little scary, but it's not the end of the world. What did they draw that they threw away 2 pieces of mana ramp?
You can't halt progress. My next breakthrough is close.
We play Jenny G. And we pray. Tezzeret dies here, by the way. We don't have a choice in the matter. We do have a way to counter if they try and play an enchantment to get around Jin. But we're in a pretty solid place right now. So they can't just keep beating me down with Gingerbrute. I do have Otawara to help deal with that as a bounce spell. This is a pretty tough matchup for my opponent once Jin-Gitaxias lands. He can be almost impossible to deal with. And my opponent may be roping me? I've run into that quite a bit in the Historic Brawl queue lately. I don't know, it looks like they're just thinking. I'm going to continue that thought process, though. I've run into that a lot in the Historic Brawl queue lately, where people will just, like, rope their opponent when they're just, like, not sure what to do. Or they'll just rope them until you're, not what I expected to see. Them killing Tezzeret's not the end of the world, by the way. It doesn't actually bother me that much. I have lots of other good cards that I can play here.
Oh, you'll see me again soon.
Yes, you're very cute. Can I use my trigger now? I know you have an open mana from your Foreboding Statue, but please. We have much better counter spells now. That evil laugh brought to you by the fact that that means I can play 2 Key to the Archives off Jin-Gitaxias. Which is a lot of mana ramp, which means we can grab a Demonic Tutor. I'm sorry, Narset, you actually don't make the cut here. And then... And then, sorry, negate, you don't make the cut. That is a lot of mana really fast, and now we basically just win the game off of that. I wouldn't be surprised if my opponent concedes here, because we just have so much going in our favor. Now, don't get me wrong, they will eventually get to Midnight Clock, and just go crazy, and draw a bunch of cards, and potentially counter out Ginny G. If they do that now, I think that's by far and away the biggest mistake they could have made. Because now they have very limited mana. They have 4 total mana. Which, don't get me wrong, 4 mana is a lot to work with. But, I guess to be fair, they don't know that I'm going to time warp them. They'll probably just insta-concede when they see the time warp resolve. Because, to be fair, I'm about to take 2 extra turns. And I'm going to go ahead and Demonic Tutor up another extra turn. And I'm sure this is going to lead to them conceding. I mean, it might. We're gonna hit Forging the Anchor to make it seem like we're just kind of ramping and stuff, right? Wow, what a whiff. Pass the turn because we have an extra turn still. I think we decline that because I don't actually want extra cards right now. Decline. Target a player, bounce Urza. Then I think we also bounce their extra midnight clock. But yeah, they just lose now. We have so much time. That's a 2-mana drop, right? Which means I can use Arcane Proxy to get another. Nice. I wouldn't be surprised if the opponent ropes here. And then we go ahead and cast Demonic Tutor for free. Which means we get another extra turn after this. We're playing the we win game, by the way. And I don't mean the, like, you know, my opponent could potentially do something here, we win game. I mean, I have a counterspell available. Even if my opponent double spells me to get rid of Jin, I still just, like, win. I'm impressed that they haven't conceded with 2 open mana and a dream. But, that's 2 more turns, which means we have, like, 4 available extra turns right now. Which means that everything except Ornithopter starts swinging. Because we're just gonna try and kill them. Go ahead and draw a card with Mind Stone. Vesuvian Duplimancy. See if we can't find something cool. We did not. I think we just killed them with raw damage at this point, right? Yeah, we do. Yeah, welcome to Jin-Gitaxias. He is very, very strong. GG's my opponent. Thank you for sticking it out. I appreciate it. I got good gameplay. It can be really hard to get in Historic Brawl sometimes. I think they had a really solid game plan. I think they did some really good stuff. I think if I had allowed them to untap, they probably could have beaten me. But as you saw, double Time Warp, double Alruns, double Karns. Like, I got lucky on the Demonic Tutor hit, but I probably would have still kept a very controlling gameplay aspect going that whole time anyways, holding up Ottawa and Wash Away to just prevent my opponent from playing too much. Jin-Gitaxias is very oppressive. I think he's probably the rudest of these commanders. Either way, good games. Fire Song and Sun Speaker. Is it? Oh wait, this is like Boros Control, isn't it? Yeah, it's basically Boros Control, which could give us some problems, but we'll find out. I think this hand is keepable because of Moonsilver Key, but just barely. Ooh, Defiler of Dreams is a really good draw. I don't think I'm going to be able to use it soon enough to make a difference, though. The commander is super expensive, but they can really combo off really hard if I'm not careful. I'm in big trouble. I don't know how to deal with Feather in this matchup. Feather might just win them the game because Feather allows them to play so much for free. I guess I just need to really hope I get Jin-Gitaxias on board. Sack the Moonsilver Key, hunt for some mana. I mean, I guess they have like a... do you think that they run a Mana Tithe? Do I think they run a Mana Tithe? I think they don't, and I think I can play Key to the Archives. I think we actually ditch Karn. Never mind, we ditched the growth spiral because that's not a very good card for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We can play Jin-G next turn, right? We can play Jin-G. And that does lock our opponent out of the game really hard. But there's only a 3/4. I think they're missing their land drops. But they probably play just really cheap spells here. I think we just go for it. I don't think on 3 mana they'll have anything that can take care of Jin-Gitaxias. I really don't think on the 3 mana they'll be able to do anything. When you cast an instant or sorcery, it gets +X/+O until end of turn. That's neat. Let's go ahead and solve the equation, shall we? We'll go ahead and grab a Karn's Temporal Sundering because it's insane. And here's the kicker. We grab Invoke the Winds and Steel Feather. Thanks for the feather! So I think my opponent's probably just going to concede or rope me now. But yeah, welcome to playing Jin-Gitaxias. Oh, they're going to keep going! Oh, they're going! Yeah! Sorry, the excitement is because it's really hard to get gameplay with someone like Jin-Gitaxias. Yeah, there it is. That doesn't surprise me at all. That was a really controlling game, and they missed their land drops. I think if they'd managed to get more lands and actually play around Feather, they would have probably beat my ass. Yeah, Jin-Gitaxias is really hard to play around once he lands, because they couldn't even start spamming Boon of Safety. They couldn't spam anything that they wanted to. They missed their land drops. And Jin wasn't missing land drops. Jin's very, very, probably very frustrating in this matchup. But GG's to my opponent. They did try and stick it out until I played Karns, but that's an understandable time to scoop. Alright. What do we got? We have Rigo Streetwise Mentor. I have no idea what that card is. I don't think I actually own that card. I'm on the play, though, which is pretty cool. And I like this. When it enters with a shield counter, when it attacks... Okay, so it's a go wide Bant. Got it. I might play Sullen Division tapped here. Game made my decision for me. We're still holding up a null in case they try and do anything. Looks like they probably want to do go wide, draw a bunch of cards. Yeah, go wide, draw a bunch of cards. So we're going to be in trouble if we can't get rolling quickly. We're still holding up a null. We'll consider at the end of turn if we... It's not an artifact or enchantment, is it? No, it's not. The shield counter doesn't actually bother me that much. Do they get to draw 2 cards? Okay, it's only 1 card. So it's Bant, go wide, little baby cards. That's fine. I want the untapped island, actually. Guess we just take the counter spell and drop Mirror Box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have enough mana for Jin-G and have a spare Relic of Legends. We can't allow Halo Fountain to go through. That is an instant win con for a deck like theirs. If I draw an untapped land, I'll be sitting pretty, but I didn't, so I think I just played Jin-Gitaxias. I can't imagine they'll have really easy ways to remove my commander here, even if they do keep drawing a bunch of cards. And I'll probably just like Silver Scrutiny for a modest amount on my next turn to refill the hand, because it'll double spell. I guess if they have a Witness Protection, I'm in trouble. And if that's the case, big old GG's to my opponent. That means they beat me real hard. Oh, they had a Swords to Plowshares. I'm so proud of you, opponent. I'm so proud of you right now. People have stopped running Swords to Plowshares. Or if they do run Swords to Plowshares, they don't use it effectively. That was a really smart way of doing it. I'm so proud of them. We need one more open mana. You might believe this is a little silly to just hard replay them, but we already got out their removal, and they have a lot more open mana, but it's a gambling game, right? Like if we can get him on board and get him to pop off, we win. That's the idea behind Jin-Gitaxias here. He's incredibly powerful in that regard. I think my opponent might just win, though. With the way this is going, we'll see. I will be able to start holding up Counterspell after this, being able to just counter actual target creatures and things. We really need to find a way to bounce them. I don't think I actually have a River's Rebuke in this deck. Okay, math is hard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. I have 10 mana. We just pass, and then we flash in Hullbreaker Horror on their turn. Okay, so they get to draw cards, probably. If I can get Hullbreaker onto field, I probably just win. He's not legendary, though, is he? He's not. I can just, like, Silver Scrutiny for, like, 1, and then bounce a bunch of stuff, probably. I think we're waiting to see if they play anything else in this first main phase, or if they just try and go for the Wizard class upgrade. Because you can tap Jin-Gitaxias for mana, is the reason why I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe we can make something work out. Relic of Legends is really good in that regard, and it's why it's important that Hullbreaker Horror isn't a legend. They try and do something else here? I think I'm still fine. Alright, let's just go ahead and do this first. And then go ahead and counterspell the Broker's Charm. Bounce that. Just make sure I really counter that. And that might just be game here, but we'll find out. Double Foundry Inspector is pretty good here. That makes my artifacts really cheap. And math is hard, but I can play Silver Scrutiny for 3 and be able to play 2-cost spells off of it as a result. Hullbreaker Horror will keep me safe in the meantime. Because now they have 2 onboard threats to deal with, which is why you run Hullbreaker Horror in a deck like this. You might think Jin-Gitaxias is strong enough on his own. He is. He is in most cases. However, if your opponent is playing really smart and playing around your Jin-Gitaxias procs, like this guy is, now we know they have a Vanquish the Horde, by the way. But they don't have any white mana anymore. They do have a green and a blue still, but... Alright, so they negated one of my Silver Scrutinies. Not a bad idea, but they lose now. Unfortunately for them, I think they just lose. We now know to not play around the board presence anymore, though. Fun fact, I say that, Reality Chip works differently than you think it does. Reality Chip becomes an artifact. Believe it or not, I actually only want to take the 1 turn. Okay, yeah, that's GG though. Good stuff on my opponent. They nearly had me. They were really close to having me. I just had really good interaction. They played a really solid game, and they nearly got me without Vanquish the Horde. That would have been not backbreaking, but really tough to come back from. Just because Jin-Gitaxias could have died. I think they played great. I think the Haywire might play was something I was not expecting. That Swords to Plowshares was genius. GG's opponent. Ran and Seri inseparable. Great starting hand. Wizard Class on 1, Arcane on 2. Oh, baby. Lundy Vision on 3. Or it could just be our Foundry Inspector on 3, now that I think about it. That might actually be the play here, because then I can make my Gilded Lotus be a 4-drop in place of a 5-drop. Which essentially means that I'm Gucci. We'll find out if they remove it. If they remove it, it's not a big deal, honestly. But, okay, they just want a Greater Tanuki. That's a good play. That's a smart play. I like that card a lot, by the way. I think this is a little bit of an undervalued thing. A 6/5 for 6 isn't very good, but it's essentially a, what's the word I'm looking for? Cultivate? It's not like entirely a Cultivate, but it's really close to a Cultivate. And now we just hold up both Lundy Visions and Spell Pierce. Spell Pierce in case they try and play some, like, enchantments that make them go wide really effectively. We need to find answers now, though. Opt is not an answer game. Karn's not an answer either! I think we might just have to chump block on this next turn to run Inseri, but not yet. We get 2 pairs of booties. Is that good? I don't know. Jin-Gitaxias is protected, though. I should have probably held open a mana for Spell Pierce in hindsight. Doesn't look like I need to care, though. It looks like they just want to go wide, which is really bad for me, because that's actually a really good strategy into Jin-Gitaxias. Just creatures go wide. This might be a showcase of his biggest downfall. Looking like it, yeah. I was about to say, holy aggression, Batman. Yeah, I think we need to draw cards. Trophy Mage is really good here, because it allows us to get a powerful artifact on board. Problem is I don't have really many good 3-drops. But it's something I do want to get. Could just grab a mirror box. And get a second mirror box as well. Which does make Jin-Gitaxias a 7/7. Which is a little scary. We might just lose here in a second, though. Unless I can find a way to get around to an Inseri, I might just straight up lose. Because, yeah, they're dealing like 5 points of damage to me per turn. Karin, save me!
Piece by piece, our victory will come to... We must conceal our plans.
I don't think Karn's gonna save me. I think I just lose. Yeah, this is a great example of how to get around Jin-Gitaxias. My opponent wins now. I think they just have lethal on board with the Rin and Seri proc. Maybe Helma the Host would have saved me. I don't think it would have, though. I mean, like, they have, what, 4? And if I block everything, that's 4 damage, which means I need to block all things here? I don't think I can. Let's see if I could have found an answer eventually. Nope. I just never found bounce spells. That's rough. GG's. That's how you beat Jin. Just staying in is a great example of how to absolutely crush Jin-Gitaxias. Decks like Ren and Seri that are go-wide creature decks Unless you draw your bounce and removal and counter spells at the exact right times, Jin, he doesn't have anything. GG's opponent, you kicked my ass. Alright, Catilda, Dawnheart Prime. Ooh, this might be another matchup where Jin isn't actually that strong. Delvers and Witness Protection are great, though. Ooh, that's really good for me. Those are great 1-2 bombs. Delver, because he can just, like, start getting in there. Because he can turn into a 3-2 if he flips. I don't actually have that many instances of sorceries, but there's a good chance he will flip within the first handful of turns. Opponent mulligan to 6. That's scary. It means they actually have, like, a good idea of what they're gonna do here, probably. Are you playing on full control mode there, opponent? You okay? Enjoy your Witness Protection. Witness Protection is really good into commanders that want to do stuff like this, because now they can't tap for mana, they can't make their humans tap for mana. They're just going to keep doing that now. Klein. Celestis will help keep me a little healthy. I think next turn we play Gilded Lotus? I don't need to be able to sacrifice stuff, so that's fine. I don't really play treasures or sacrifices, I don't think. Fine. I think next turn I can probably start comboing off and winning. Alright, well that's just an interesting decision, because you'd use that on like a Jin-Gitaxias. Math is hard though. Hang on, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We need the life gain and we need the cycling. They tapped out. That's a big mistake. I think we cycle because Joyra's Familiar isn't very good for me right now. Neither is Foundry Inspector though, so... Can I pay for that? Ward 1? Yeah, I can pay for that. I think we recovered. I think Hullbreaker just kind of, maybe not won the game. You gonna hit my Cold Steel Heart? Okay, I have 1 less mana now. I have 1 less mana now. I guess they're still on their go wide strat. If I can draw some solid cantrips, Archmage Emeritus, Hullbreaker are just gonna go off together. If I draw like a 1-cost instant or sorcery here, I'm probably... Oh! I guess my opponents had enough. They thought they couldn't get past the Hullbreaker. I mean, that's a very fair assessment. Historic spells are going to be cheaper. I'm going to draw when I cast instants and sorceries, and Hullbreaker's going to bounce. Pretty fair assessment. I think they still had a chance, honestly, if they just kind of kept swinging. I was pretty low already at 13. I couldn't choose to ignore the legitimate business person forever. But GG's to my opponent. Alright, you saw probably a lot of really solid but really short games there. Jin either explodes and just makes you win on the spot, or your opponent is Zerg rushing you down so fast that you couldn't find your bounce spells fast enough. Either way, I think he's great. I think he's kind of a rude commander in general. I think in, like, actual commander games where it's like 4-person, kind of casual, just vibing, having fun, he might not be a great fit for most tables, unless the rest of the table is okay with it, but he is very slow to get started. He is quite easy to work around. He's very easy to counter unless you're set up to counter the counters, but I think he's really fun in the Historic Brawl that's out there, because Historic Brawl is a brutally fast game type with lots of crazy combos because of alchemy cards. That can just really pop off and surprise you out of nowhere, and Jin-Gitaxias can sometimes have a hard time keeping up. I still think he's like solid A+ tier commander though. I hope you enjoyed the games, even though they were a bit short. I think we still got like 5 games in this video, but they were all pretty short stuff. Either way, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, feel free to leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more content like this in the future, and I hope to catch you in the next one.